Students, I welcome you in my channel. Today I am going to explain Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem The Lotus Eaters, part 2, last two stanzas, 7th and 8th stanzas. And I am Sanju Hazria, Assistant Professor of English at Government College Ratangad. And as you know, this poem is included in BA part 2 by MGS University Bikaner. So, first of all, I am going to explain our 7th stanza. This is our 7th stanza. But propped on beds of amaranth and moly, how sweet, while warm airs lull us, blowing lowly, with half-dropped eyelid still, beneath a heaven dark and holy, to watch the long bright river drawing slowly, his waters from the purple hill, to hear the dewy echoes calling, from cave to cave through the thick twined vine, to watch the emerald-colored water falling, through many a woven acanthus wreath divine, only to hear and see the far-off sparkling brine, only to hear the sweet stretched out beneath the pine. Now I am explaining it line to line. So pay heed, whatever is explained, whatever is said. But propped. Propped means supported or reclined. But propped on beds of amaranth. What is amaranth? Amaranth is a fabulous plant that never withers. And moly, it is a herb. Now the mariners means the omniscient narrator is saying to recline on the beds of amaranth and moly. How sweet! It is very pleasant. It is very sweet. While warm airs lull us blowing lowly. When the air is blowing in a very low manner, blowing in a very gentle manner, and it is lulling us to sleep. It lulls us to sleep. Means the air is so gentle, so warm that it lulls to them to sleep. So it is appearing very sweet to them when they were having rest on the beds of amaranth and moly, and it was very sweet for them when the air was blowing in a very gentle manner, and because of it they were having sleeps. With half dropped eyelid still, when the eyes are half shut, so their eyelids are half shut, still beneath a heaven, under the skies, under the heaven, dark and holy. And the sky is dark with clouds, and it is appearing very pure and holy. It is appeared very calm and serene. To watch the long bright river drawing slowly, and it was very sweet for them, it was very pleasant for them to watch the long bright river. The river is long and it is bright and gleaming, so it is very sweet for them to watch the long bright river, and it is flowing in a very slow manner. His waters, here his is referred for the river. Waters means river's water from the purple hill. The water is flowing from the purple hill. Hill is crimson because of the light of the setting sun. So the river's water is flowing from the purple hill, to hear the dewy echoes calling, and it is very sweet to hear the dewy echoes. Dewy echoes means the caves are damp, and because of that the echoes from them are called dewy or wet. So the caves are resounding and they are dewy, they are damp. From cave to cave through the thick twined vine. On every cave is covered by the thick twined vine. The vines are entangled, means branches tangled together because of their thick growth. To watch the emerald colored water falling, and it is very pleasant to watch the emerald colored means green colored water falling. Water is falling and it is green colored due to its continuous flow through many a woven acanthus wreath divine, and it is very sweet to watch such type of emerald color water falling from the woven acanthus. Acanthus, it is appearing very divine. Acanthus is a plant which has prickly leaves, so it is very sweet to watch the emerald color water falling from the acanthus wreath divine. When acanthus is woven in such a manner, it is appearing very beautiful because its size is like a ring, and it is appearing very divine, it is appearing very beautiful. Only to hear and see the far off sparkling brine. And now it is very pleasant, it is very sweet to them to hear and see, to hear and see the far off sparkling brine, to hear and see that far off sparkling brine. Sparkling means gleaming, brine means sea. So it is very sweet for them to hear and see the distant sparkling sea. So the mariners no longer want to go to the sea and see its sparkling waves from a distance. They want to sit safely on the seashore and from there enjoy its view. Only to hear was sweet stretched out beneath the pine. So it is their indolent nature, it is their lazy nature, that they want to hear only the sweet song of that sea stretched out beneath the pine when they were having rest under the pine tree. So it is their indolent nature, even the exertion involved in watching the waves seems a bit too much to them, so they want therefore only to hear the murmur of the waves from a distance. So this is the explanation of the seventh stanza, and now we are heading towards eighth stanza. This is our eighth stanza and it is very long, so we will divide in few slides. Okay. The lotus blooms below the barren peak. The lotus blows by every winding creek. All day the wind breathes low with mellower tone through every hollow cave and alley lawn. Round and round the spicy downs the yellow lotus dust is blown. We have had enough of action and of motion. We rolled to starboard, rolled to larboard when the surge was seething free, where the bellowing monster spouted his foam fountains in the sea. Let us swear an oath and keep it with an equal mind in the hollow lotus land to live and lie reclined. The lotus fruit is blooming everywhere on that island, and its description is given in these lines. The lotus blooms, the lotus flower and fruit blossoms below the barren peak. Below the means these flowers, these fruits are not on the barren peak, but they are blooming under the below the barren peak. Peak is barren, it is without any plant or leaf. So the lotus flowers are blooming under the below the barren peak, means below the mountain peak. The lotus blows by every winding creek, and the lotus is blooming by every winding creek. The zigzag seashore, it is also blooming by the every zigzag shore, by the every zigzag seashore. All day the wind breathes low with mellower tone, and all day the wind breathes, the wind is blowing in a very low manner, in a very low manner and softer and sweeter tone, with full of soft and sweet tone. So they are describing, they are giving the description of the beautiful island through every hollow cave and alley lawn, and it is they means the lotus plants are grown in every hollow cave, in every cave which is empty, and in every street, in every lonely street. Round and round the spicy downs, and they are also grown around the spicy downs. Spicy, here spicy means covered with fragrant flowers. Downs means low hills. So they are also grown. Around the spicy downs, the yellow lotus dust is blown, and the yellow lotus dust is blown means these yellow lotus flowers are grown in mm, every place, on every place, and around the spicy downs also. We have had enough of action. Now they are explaining what they have done in their past. We have had enough of action. We had done too much activities and of motion we have done enough of motion. The sailors had undertaken long journeys and traveled far and wide, and the sailors had led a life of toil and struggle, rolled to starboard and rolled to larboard means sometimes they have gone into the ships and sometimes they have reached to the ports. So they have rolled to moved to starboards and moved to larboards when the surge was sitting free, when the sea waves, surge means sea waves, was sitting free means was climbing high. When the waves were very high, they had uh, taken the journeys in those seas. Where the wallowing monster spouted his foam fountains in the sea. Where the wallowing monster means the big fish in the sea. So wallowing monster here means the big fishes in the sea. Spouted means sprayed water from their mouths, his foam in the sea. His fountain means volume of water mixed with foam. The big fish in the sea were throwing out the volumes of foamed water, and not only the waves of the sea were angry, but even the beasts in the sea were equally dangerous through which they had to sail. Let us swear an oath. Now they want to take an oath. The sailors propose to take a determined decision and keep it with an equal mind. And now they follow it and implement the decision with equal mind, means unanimously. Now they want to take and swear. They want to take an oath and keep it with an equal mind, and they want to keep it and follow it in the hollow lotus land to live and lie reclined. And now they want to live in that empty lotus land for forever and lie reclined and to want to have the rest. So hollow refers here to the many valleys. The lotus land contains several valleys in the island, and they want to stay here permanently. They want to rest in a calm and peaceful mood and atmosphere. Okay, so I think you understood it. And now on the hills lie goats together, careless of mankind, for they lie beside their nectar, and the birds are heard far below them in the valleys, and the clouds are lightly curled round their golden houses, girdled with the gleaming world, where they smile in secret, looking over wasted lands, blight and famine, plague and earthquake, roaring deeps and fiery sands, clanging fights and flaming towns, and sinking ships and praying hands. But they smile, they find a music centered in a doleful song, steaming up a lamentations and an ancient tale of Rome. So, what is their wish now? Now they want to recline in that land. Now they want to take rest in that land, and they want to live in that land for forever, like goats together on the hills. Now they want to live on the hills like goats together, as the goats live on the hills. So the sailors want to rest in the same manner as the goats are resting over the mountain peaks, careless of mankind. As goats are indifferent to the sorrows and sufferings of human life, goats do not care for man's fate. In the same carefree mood, the sailors also want to have rest. So now they have decided that they will also rest like goats, and they will not take any care of the mankind. For they lie beside their nectar. Here they refers to goats, because they means goats lie beside their nectar, take rest beside their nectar. Nectar is the drink of immortality. And the bolts are heard. Bolts means thunderbolts. Thunderbolts which come down from the sky during rainy season, they are heard. They are thrown. So the bolts are thrown by goats from the sky in order to cause harm to the human beings. Far below them in the valleys, far below them means earth, it is very down from the, which is naturally down from the heaven. And the clouds are lightly curled, and the clouds are gathered and curled means surrounded in curly fashion. The clouds were surrounding the abodes of gods round their golden houses. Their houses means gods' houses are golden, made of gold, richly decorated houses of the gods in heaven, girdled with the gleaming world, and they are ringed, surrounded with the shining and twinkling stars, surrounded the houses of the gods in heaven. So they are surrounded by the gleaming, with the gleaming world means by the stars, with the brightened stars, where they smile in secret, while the goats, they means goats, while the goats are smiling in secret in a very mischievous manner, looking over wasted lands, looking over the wasted lands means distracted lands. So looking indifferently and apathetically over the distant lands, wasted lands, lands of man on earth which have been rendered waste and unfertile. Blight and famine. Blight means disease, as like the corona, and famine. Blight and famine, a kind of disease which destroys plants and crops. Famine, it is a calamity caused by the destruction of crops. Plague and earthquake. These are natural calamities. Roaring deeps and fiery sands. Roaring deeps means created storms in deeps, oceans, and fiery sands means burning lands like desert. Means gods feel very happy after creating such types of problems for human beings like blight, like diseases and famine and plague and earthquakes and the storms created in seas and deserts. Clinging fights. Clinging fights means when swords are clanged in wars, they feel very happy. And flaming towns and burning towns because of wars, and sinking ships. And when ships are sunk, they also create great destruction for human beings. And praying hands, and when human beings are praying for the help, and then gods smile mischievously on the human beings, and when they pray they do not pay heed towards the human beings, but they smile. But means this is sarcastic. When human beings are praying to the gods and they are smiling, they find a music centered in a doleful song, and they find a music in that sorrow song. They find a music centered in a doleful song means the gods in heaven continue to smile and derive pleasure in man's suffering. They find a music. The gods take the musical delight in sorrowful cries and shrieks in distress by human beings, steaming up a lamentation and an ancient tale of wrong. And they are rising up from earth to heaven. The lamentation, the cries, and the expression of agony and tale of sorrows are rising to the heaven. And this is the ancient tale of wrong. and this is the ancient, means this is the repeated story of suffering in human life. So I think you understood it, and now we are heading towards the last part of this poem. Like a tale of little meaning, through the words are strong, chanted from an ill-used race of men that cleave the soil, sow the seed and reap the harvest with enduring toil, storing yearly little dews of wheat and wine and oil, till they perish and they suffer. Some, 'tis whispered, down in hell, suffer endless anguish. Others in Elysian valleys dwell, resting weary limbs at last on beds of asphodel. Surely, surely, slumber is more sweet than toil. The sore then labor in the deep mid-ocean, wind and wave and oar. O rest ye, brother mariners, we will not wander more. So this is the last line. These are the last lines of this poem. And now the omniscient narrator is saying, like a tale of little meaning, thou the words are strong. Thou the words are very strong. Thou the prayers which are sung by the human beings in their sufferings, their words are very strong. They are praying in very strong words, but it does not have any meaning for the smiling gods, for the mischievous gods. Like a tale of little meaning, this story does not have any meaning, does not have any does not have any meaning for them, chanted from an ill-used race of men. And these prayers are sung by the suffered people, the ill-used people, means the people who are suffering continuously, that cleave the soil. Though these are those people who cultivate the soil, cultivate the land. These are the poor people who produce food by cultivating land, are ill paid and ill treated. Sow the seed. These people, means these peasants, sow the seed and reap the harvest with enduring toil, with so much hard work, with enduring toil, means endless labor, storing yearly little dews of wheat and wine and oil. And in the end, they collect little dews, very small quantity of wheat and wine and oil, means they cultivate land with so much hard labor, and in the end they get the small quantity of wheat and other stuff, till they perish and they suffer. In this manner they perish, means they suffer and die. Some, 'tis whispered, down in hell, and it is whispered, means it is murmured, down in hell, at the end of their life, means after the death, down in hell suffer endless anguish. They suffer so much in the hell, means after the death other people feel pain and sorrow. Others in Elysian valleys, and other people after the death they reach in heaven, Elysian valleys, resting weary limbs at last on beds of asphodel. And at last after the death they take rest on the beds of asphodel. Asphodel is a plant, a kind of flower found in heaven. The beds of asphodel are provided to the blessed souls in heaven. Surely, surely, slumber is more sweet than toil. So now the omniscient narrator is saying that surely, surely, it is sure, slumber means sleep is more sweet than the hard work, the sore, and this sore is more pleasant for them than the labor in the deep mid ocean, than that hard work which they have been doing in deep mid ocean. Wind and wave and oar, and they were doing hard work in the midst of the winds and on the climbing waves and with the oar. Oh, rest ye. Now he is addressing to his fellow mariners. Oh, rest ye. Now we should have rest, brother mariners. We will not wander more. Now we will not wander anymore. So this is the explanation of the Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem, The Lotus Eaters, and I have completed the explanation, and I think you understood it. Thanks for watching. this video.